from the personal records section with HR, and she is in her 39th year with the department. So welcome, and we're glad to have you for 39 years. And then we have Chaplain Johnny Jones to say the prayer.
Almighty and merciful God, you have brought us together in your name. We beg you for your mercy and grace in times of our needs. Open our eyes to see the evil that plague our city. Forgive us for our failing to acknowledge you in what is good and just. Touch our hearts and bring us back to you. We need your encouragement, O God, that the officers and the members of this council, this board, can perform their duties in a way that will bring glory and honor to you. Help us, O God, to love and to serve, but not to be served, and to do good to others. Hoping then, O God, that as officers and members of this board, to be available, to be the agents of change, give them the strength to work and perform their duties and responsibilities well. As they gather here as one, send your Holy Spirit to guide every one of them to think and participate in a common goal. We give thanks to you, Almighty Father, for all the benefits of good health, safe travels, and all the blessings we receive from you. And we ask thee to guide us to achieve the goals of prosperity in our lives and to the community in which we serve. We ask this, Almighty God, in the precious name of he who was in the beginning, when everything that was made. Amen.
Thank you, Chaplain Jones. You may be seated. Okay, so the mayor's designee, I believe that's Crispin Reyes, Councilman Crispin Reyes? Yep.
Good morning.
Morning.
My name is Crispin Rea. I represent the 4th District at large on the City Council. I have a brief update today on two things that will be coming before the council actually this morning in Finance, Governance, and Public Safety Committee, and then we'll go to the full council, assuming they pass beyond that. One is a resolution sponsored by Councilwoman Melissa Robinson to direct the city manager to create a strategic plan moving forward and longer term plan for our Community Action Network centers, our CAN centers. As folks who've worked in the community know, excuse me, these CAN centers have been institutions and foundations for certain neighborhoods where they have existed for long periods of time. I would always point to the West Side CAN Center as a good example of what can be done through CAN Center networking and relationships with the neighborhood association and community. And so her resolution will direct the city manager to come up with a strategic plan on what we're actually doing with these CAN centers moving forward, which I think is actually very needed right now. Second is that we are going to have an ordinance before us this morning to accept funding, a grant from the Department of Justice from the Burn Grant Program for $315 to go towards the Crime Commission and Health Department. And so that will be before our committee today. I believe the Crime Commission programming that will be supported includes the Second Chance program, which is intended to prevent folks who are released from incarceration from returning to incarceration. Other than that, that's my update for today.
Thank you. Any questions?
Madam Chair, I have a quick question. Councilman, how many can centers do we have in Kansas City? You
Currently-
mentioned the west side.
Currently operating, so we have the West Side Can Center, I believe we have Blue Hills, Blue Valley. I believe we just supported funding for an additional can center. I can't recall that location. I can get you an exact number. It is not the number that we had when we started the Can Center program. I remember there was one in the northeast area on Independence Avenue, and I believe there's some others around town that don't function in that way anymore, but I can get you an exact number.
Thank you.
Councilman? We currently only have the brick and mortar building for a can center on West Side Can. We're in the process of putting personnel in place to staff the other can centers and hoping for the can center at 31st and Prospect to be open and operational soon.
I've heard great things about the West Side Can Center, so intrigued me to know how many we had.
Isn't the Blue Valley Can Center located in?
We do have officers there.
I see.
We do have can officers that are assigned in that area, Councilman. But the brick and mortar structures, we're looking towards bolstering those.
Councilman, while we have you, do you mind updating us on the jail? Because I know you're real involved in that committee.
Yes, so last time I was here, I believe I delivered information that we were not going to make it on the August ballot. Our deadline to have done that was, I think it was like May 23rd. And so we are looking forward at what future ballot presents the best opportunity. Our options coming up are November or April. I have been having conversations with Jackson County about the opportunity of entering an agreement with the land they have available where they are building their current facility. The location question of the facility is probably the most pressing issue I think we have in front of us right now. And so we have also had staff doing some additional analysis beyond just what city-owned property we've examined as a potential location, but what other private property parcels are available that we could piece together. Staff are in the process of doing that analysis right now to see what other opportunities we have. But I think the most pressing issue is securing a location where we can build this facility. My preference would be the land out near 40 Highway where Jackson County is currently building their facility.
Which makes sense, right?
I believe it makes the most sense. It's the most cost effective, and it allows us to avoid causing stress and controversy in a community. When Jackson County went through the work of securing that land, they had to go through the process of informing neighborhood folks and working through the community engagement. So much of that has already been done at that location. If we were to also go to that location, it would be different than if we were to pick a new location that, while it might not violate our own ordinances and how and where we can place such a facility, that would cause, controversy for folks who might live in the near vicinity.
Thank you. And I know when we originally started this, we were going to hopefully have a decision last March. And then we got into doing some more studies on it. And then I know Jackson County at that time wasn't too cooperative, but so at this point, you think that that's working out better as far as what you
we've had
guys have
some
seen? Because I know you've been working really hard, and we really appreciate that.
We've had some productive conversations with our counterparts at the county. I believe we are close as a committee to, which the mayor also sits on, and so we've had many conversations about this. I think we are close as a committee to having a recommendation on the size of the facility and the nature of the facility. There's still a lot of work that needs to be done around cost estimates and updated cost estimates and staffing and operations. Stuff is very technical and complex. When I laid out our self-imposed timelines as a committee, it was ambitious. And this is a topic where the more you learn, the more questions there are that require more analysis. And while we have been moving with a sense of urgency, there's also trying to balance those two have been very important. But I assure you, we are working very hard.
Well, thank you, and I appreciate all your efforts on that. Any more questions for Mr. Mayor? All right, thank you. Okay, we have a grant presentation with Major Joshua Heinen.
Can everybody hear me okay? Yes. Good morning. Like you said, I'm Major Josh Heinen. I'm the major of the fiscal division. And I have here with me Supervisor Jennifer Emery. She's a supervisor of our grant section within the fiscal division. Oftentimes, our job within fiscal is to look at the overall department budget and try to meet, stretch it enough to meet the goals and the objectives of the department. And so we often hear from outside, whether it's city council members or anywhere else, that, are you looking for grants to supplement some of this funding? And so this is an overview of what we have done in the past, what we're currently working on with regard to grants for the police department. And I will say that this is also a presentation that we provided to some city council members, I think it was last week, 2 weeks ago, at the Public Safety Committee over there to give them the same overview that you're getting today. So currently, our grant section, they work with 31 different federal grants, 2 state awards, 18 federal cooperative agreements, 5 local memorandums of understanding. The total value as of May of this year for all of these grants is $18 million. A lot of those federal award grants that you see, they're including the Department of Justice grants, the Bureau of Justice Systems grants, stuff like that. The state grants are most of which are through Department of Public Safety. The cooperative agreements, a lot of those are our task force grants. And then the local grants are stuff that we partner with here within Kansas City, typically, whether that's Kansas City Streetcar Authority or with KCATA or something of that nature. And so I know most of you probably memorized our 360-page budget book, but what you'll see in there is our budget request for this year was $9 million. And so not to get confusing, some of our grants are multi-year grants, and that's why this number is a lot bigger, is because overall over those multi-years, those grants total $18 million, but the $9 million that we request in our budget this year is just the portion of those grants that we're going to be spending this year. We also have some pending grants that we're working on as well. 8 pending federal grants, 3 pending local awards, and all of those agreements totaling $7.6 million. So that number is on top of that $18 million that we just talked about of our active grants. So what do we do with some of these grants? A lot of the grants, if we can, we supplement personnel salaries. As you know from being involved in budget conversations over the past few years, most of our budget goes to personnel costs, and whether that is for salaries, overtime, training. And so if we can find a grant that gives us an opportunity to supplement some of those costs, that's what we try to do, to add on additional personnel, to be able to add on additional training or overtime for those personnel to work specific grant-related cases. Internally here, like I said, Jenny is over our grants section. They are within our accounting and payroll section, and so it consists of Jenny and 3 fiscal administrators in our grant section. And their primary duties are to manage funding throughout the life cycle of the award, make sure we're compliant with all the federal guidelines and state guidelines when it comes to grants, and then as we work through the grants, submit for reimbursements and make sure everything is in line for our single audit. And so So far, they've been very successful in doing that, but it is a massive amount of work for the 4 people that we have. Overall, they manage, 67 total active and pending grants for those 4 staff members, and it's a big workload. And to make sure that the department is compliant with constantly changing federal granting requirements and state grant requirements. One thing we've done recently to kind of assist them, we have, oh, I'm sorry. There you go. We have partnered with a company called Lexipol, and what they do is offer grant assistance with conducting searches for new grant opportunities. So what we do with them is we send them a list. We seek information department-wide for projects that they want to look for grant funding for, and then we submit all of those projects to Lexipol, and then they have a search software and then some personnel that they use to help us try to identify grants, whether that's a federal grant, a state grant, or a local grant, to see if we can get some of those projects across the finish line. So finally, we wanted to bring up a few of the bigger ticket items, some of the more prevalent stuff that we have purchased here recently with grant funding. And you'll see on here, Command Post Bus, that is a grant that is actively in progress right now. And so that'll be a big one. Some vehicles that we use MCSAP grants for, automated license plate readers, that program that is so beneficial to the department. A lot of those things were bought either by Police Foundation or from grant funding. And so we've done a lot of work trying to get that program up and going. Body-worn cameras, tactical response team, robots, things like that. And then years ago, that's how we purchased some of our helicopters, is through a port security grant. And so we're looking for any big equipment, big ticket items like that. We're always looking for opportunities to try to be able to fund those outside of what our general budget is for. So that's all we have, and I'll take any questions that you have.
Any questions?
Okay.
Great job. Thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you.
I know that's a lot of work, and we appreciate that because it really does make a difference. And I know that equipment is huge and helping us fight crime, and thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, general discussion.
Morning, Commissioner,
Chief?
Mr. Mayor. Just adding on a little bit to Major Heinen's discussion, a lot of that was obviously federal grants and local grants, but in addition to that, we also seek funding through our Police Foundation, who provides a lot of different either equipment, other cameras, all kinds of different items that help us really combat violent crime. So I just wanted to make sure that I put that in there because there's been a lot of that. Command Post Bus was part of that. That's something that our department truly needs. We had a Command Post Bus from 1998. And that's when I came on as a police officer. So we're still making good with that, but I just wanted to let you know, in addition to those funds, we also are assisted by the Police Foundation. This morning, I'd like to recognize the women and men of the Kansas City, Missouri Police Department who helped make the U.S. Conference of Mayors a safe event. I wanted to make sure, in the planning phase, I wanted to make sure that we were visible, that we were professional, that we were helpful, and that we were there to keep everyone safe, so everyone that was there could concentrate on the purpose of coming together without any distractions. The Kansas City, Missouri Police Department received numerous compliments on our presence and our engagement, and I just wanted to thank all the members who volunteered for the assignment. And it should be noted that I have received a request for more information from a police chief that I attend Major City Chiefs Association with in regard to some of the good things that we're doing here in Kansas City and some of the things that were discussed. So, we're all facing similar challenges, and so when we come together in those spaces, we get to share some of the things that are working, some of the things that aren't, or lessons learned, and we're all better afterward. So this month, I was grateful to have been able to attend the second session of the FBI National Executive Institute with other national law enforcement leaders. And in this group, there were state, federal, and city law enforcement leaders. And during our session, we had presentations from Scotland Police, where we heard from their commanders and their chief constable. And they have quite the humanitarian approach to policing, to include focusing on the well-being of the people that they serve. And I was thankful to see some of the similarities of KCPD's initiative with the same mindset. Furthermore, the discussions with fellow law enforcement leaders, like I said, we're federal, state, and city, are priceless, and that we share the same challenges. And it was beneficial to be among the group to learn how others are overcoming those challenges, kind of like the same of how we were discussing with the U.S. Conference of Mayors to share our wins with others for their benefit. And so thank you to the board and Mr. Mayor for allowing me the opportunity to attend such important events and to also represent Kansas City amongst a prestigious group of American law enforcement leaders. So thank you very much. And if you have any questions for me, I'm available to answer.
Madam President, just a comment. I'd like to, I attended the U.S. Conference of Mayors, of course. Kansas City looked phenomenal. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It was a great event. And I'd like to just applaud you all for the wonderful presence, professionalism, well placement of the officers there. It was extremely impressive, and it made me extremely proud. So thank you for that.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
I have a whole slide deck on it later for my first time in 5 years, so I'll have more to say, but thank you all for them. I don't even know how it works, so we'll see.
Well, I was there too, and I can follow up, but I'm not going to be repetitive. It was, the presence was there, but not overwhelming. And so some of the public events I went to, I thought were just managed very well. I am curious, I'm going to shift gears, on your trip with the FBI to Scotland. Were you able to share the three initiatives that we have, our strategy, to see how those resonate with others in the group or with Scotland?
Absolutely. I talked about our crime plan, and I also talked about part of that, where that data-informed community engagement and having a community engagement division, how we approach different situations to try to, like de-escalation training, which that de-escalation training was actually founded out of that group, from what I've been told. Some like PERF and some different law enforcement leaders got together to come up that came up with that ICAT, and I saw some of the things that we are employing in Scotland and their way that they approach policing. And it was really refreshing to hear that from them. Of course, in Scotland, it's a different way of policing, because here we have firearms, and there are a contingency of police officers that have firearms. For the most part, a lot of their police officers are not armed. So there is a different approach, but the whole feeling of the police and policing being a virtue, and how they approach policing as making sure that the people that they serve, it's more of a well-being approach. And if you compare that to the United States, it's like the law enforcement. But I do, even though that is how we are characterized as law enforcers, we do have that well-being approach. I mean, you can see that in some of our structure with our crisis intervention teams, with the social workers embedded at KCPD, and our community engagement division, and just the way that officers are all expected to approach policing and the people that they come in contact with a community interaction officer approach. So I was really thankful to see that, and that being reflected in some of our approaches here in Kansas City.
It's good to hear. It sounded like there was some overlap, both in the community engagement, the de-escalation training that we're having. So it's just, I guess, validation to hear that others are also recognizing those approaches.
Validation, that's the word I was looking for. Thank you.
Great. Well, thank you for sharing. We appreciate you being there representing us and bringing back to us all the knowledge that you learned from everybody there, because I think that's so important to be able to share that knowledge of great minds in different cities and find out what's really working. So we appreciate that. Thank you. And Investigation Bureau, Deputy Chief Niemeyer.
Morning, Commissioners, Mr. Mayor. Our items are under tab A in your book. Starting off, I'd like to talk about a group within our investigations bureau that doesn't get a lot of attention, but is so important. The Watch 1 General Squad consists of 2 sergeants, 7 detectives that work from 10 p.m. to 8 a.m. and respond to a variety of different crime scenes that occur overnight. These detectives and sergeants, they triage, prioritize, and process crime scenes through the city to include interviewing victims, witnesses, apprehending suspects. They are also the main point of contact for any investigations during the overnight hours. These detectives and sergeants make critical decisions every night to assist our investigations unit. The General Squad does not carry a caseload. The cases that occur during the overnight hours then get assigned to the respective units the next morning. I stopped in there this morning to let them know. I usually get here fairly early in the morning, and I stopped in there to let them know while they were still here that I'd be talking about them. They assured me they would be asleep by the time that this meeting began. But I wanted to express to them and everyone, we don't realize that these folks work from 10 at night to 8 in the morning when everybody else is at home asleep, and they have to make really crucial decisions all night long. Whereas during the day, we have a large amount of people here at the police department, even in the PM's hours. But it's a thankless job to have to work that dog watch shift for all those years that those guys and gals have. So I just want to say thank you, and that we do appreciate them, and we think about them a lot, because it makes our jobs much easier the next day whenever things are taken care of. So. Okay, this is the blue sheet. In 2024, as of today, we've had 71 homicides. That compares to 97 at the same time last year. We have cleared 33 homicides this year, 15 homicides from previous years, for a total of 48 cases, which is a 68% clearance rate or solved rate at this point in time. In May, we had 13 homicides. 7 of those were cleared by arrest. 3 have been solved, but not yet cleared, and 3 are open and still under investigation. So 10 of the 13 in the month of May have been solved. And then you can see, breaking down by division, in May we had 2 in Center Zone, 2 in Metro, 5 in East, 1 in North, 3 in South, and 0 in Shoal Creek. As for June, we've had 13 homicides as of this morning in the month of June, and then obviously we'll discuss those at next month's board meeting. Our non-fatal shooting comparison report, these numbers are as of last week from January the 1st to June the 20th. 291 non-fatal shooting victims. This compares to 221 at the same time last year, which is a 32% increase. In May of 2024, we had 52 non-fatal shooting victims as compared to 46 at this time last year in the same month, for a 13% increase. During the month of May, we submitted a total of 313 cases to prosecutors, 253 to Jackson County, 37 to Clay, and 23 to Platte, and 0 cases to Cass County. I wanted to take a moment to talk about our crime analysts. This is a big discussion topic from a lot of different points on the department. But the department has several crime analysts assigned around our department in the Violent Crimes Division, as well as at our patrol district stations and our Special Investigations Division. We currently have crime analysts assigned in 3 of our 4 homicide squads permanently, and we'll be filling that 4th position hopefully in the next month or 2. We also have an analyst that's permanently assigned to our robbery unit, and we will be filling spots in our assault squads as well. Those analysts also that are in the homicide unit that are assigned to their squad work with the assault squad, so it's not like we don't have someone. It's just they're doing double duty like many people are. I want to give you a few examples of what they've done. I could go on and on about all the things that they do to help, but they are experts and they have watched hours of video during the parade to help identify those folks, and was very instrumental in that case file, and we've talked about it a lot. Just this past, in the past few months, they took a single photo from a bank robbery that led to the identity of a suspect, and was able to figure out that that same suspect from one photograph had committed a bank robbery in 2013 as well. They assisted the Denver, Colorado Police Department called. They assisted them in identifying a suspect from a homicide in Denver that had Kansas City connections. Our analysts were able to also connect that individual to a robbery in Des Moines, Iowa, and another homicide in Kearney, Nebraska. So it's not just helping out our department, they're helping out nationwide. And it's really impressive to watch them work. So as you can see, they are a bit camera shy, because we asked to get their photograph, and this is the way they did it. But I've known many of those analysts my entire career, and to watch the way that their jobs have evolved from way back whenever I first started investigations today is amazing. So I just want to take the opportunity, if you ever get the chance to stop by and talk to our crime analyst and see what we're doing with our crime analyst positions and the way we're progressing in that area is amazing. So I just want to say thank you to them. And I'm probably going to be in trouble again this month. So after last month's board meeting, I was approached by the mayor and a few of you. I was approached by the mayor and a few of you about you guys learned about some of our members, and I survived that meeting because I'm back this month after talking about Critley King and her mother. So I'll try to survive today's board meeting after highlighting not one but two of our cornerstones of the Investigations Bureau. I met Jennifer Miller when I became a detective in 1998. She has seen, heard more about violent crime than I'm guessing all of us in this room put together. She began her career in 1979 and continues to work in the Violent Crimes Bureau or Division Office. Jennifer is the face behind your blue sheet. So when you get the blue sheet every year, that's the face behind the blue sheet. Every day. Every morning. Sorry. And everyone sees it every morning. She's an original member of the KCPD care team. It started in 1997. She is part of the KCPD peer support program, and I really want people to know she's been working with victims of violent crime as long as I have known her. She has helped victims and victims' compensation with the state long before all of the services that we have available today. She was doing that on her own. I could go on and on about Jennifer. Literally everyone in this department knows her and is one of the most kind and considerate people I've ever met. I also want to recognize Pam Bear. You probably know Pam Bear because she hands you the blue sheet at every single meeting. Pam is the administrative assistant assigned to the Investigations Bureau office. Pam was appointed to the KCPD in 2002 after she worked an entire career at the North Kansas City School District and retired. Pam has been part of the KCPD care team since 2002 and has worked every single golf tournament since then. And as you can see pictured there, Jennifer and Pam at this year, I think is that this year's? Last year's? I don't know, we had to sneak around to find pictures and all kinds of things. So I'm afraid to turn around as we speak because I'm pretty sure they're right behind me. So Pam has been part of the care team since 2002 and has been at every single golf tournament as well as Jennifer. Pam and Jennifer have participated in that, and that is the #1 fundraiser for the care team each and every year. Pam is also part of the McGruff Dog Crime Program and is also a member of our KCPD peer support team. The picture on the left there, that just happened yesterday. She helps organize the McGruff program. We got permission from that young lady right there, a very special moment yesterday alone, to help that young lady that's in the picture, her mother, allowed us to use that, but she was very afraid of the police because of her past and had some PTSD with it. And her and Sergeant Lemoyne yesterday went and visited her, and Pam is always helping others in her time, not only here at the department, but outside of the department. So these two ladies not only work a full day for the citizens, but they put in hundreds of hours every year taking care of our employees on their personal time. I just want to say thank you to both of them right now.
Pam, thank you.
That should be extra special thanks for wearing that McGruff dog suit yesterday when it was 100 degrees.
Right.
Right. However, I don't want to stop. I do want to say one more thing. I left probably their biggest accomplishment out. They are two of the most amazing grandmothers. I think everything I said is accurate as far as dates and years go, but Sergeant King and I have been gathering these details over the last month during casual conversations with Jennifer and Pam without them knowing. So if I got something wrong, I apologize, but thank you. So, I would like to update the board on a couple cases that have happened, and this is,
Madam Chair, if I may, just to make sure I don't speak in the middle of a moment that's more serious, I do want to acknowledge both of you. I want to thank you for your decades of service to this department and to this community. It is exceptional. And the Deputy Chief noted something that's very important to me. I recognize how important grandmothers are because they're how I can be here right now. You all help take care of a whole bunch of things each and every day. So balancing family life, the demands of this department, and all that you do is really exceptional. Thank you, Deputy Chief, for bringing that recognition. And I know the Chief often talks about the hearts behind the badges. I think it's important that we recognize all the people who keep this department and this community running each day. So thank you for that, particularly thank you both. Even if he surprises you with the recognition, I saw him staring at the back of your head the whole time, so look out. But thank you all so much.
if I would have told them this was happening, neither one of them would have been here. And that's, that just tells you that they're not looking for the recognition. They're here every day and have been for a long time. So if I had said that we were gonna recognize you at the board meeting, we probably wouldn't have got the opportunity to do that, so. Update on a couple cases that I think is important. This was in the news. I think it was reported this morning. We talked about it a lot in the past. Center Zone had a problem the last year or so in Westport with the guns being stolen out of cars. If you saw the news this morning, a gentleman was sentenced to 11 years in the federal penitentiary for stealing and having in possession of over 100 firearms. I believe it was over 100. And there will be additional people that are sentenced for that. So follow up to Center Zone Property Crimes and others on the department, good job. That case has been submitted. And then this morning, we served a search warrant this morning, and you'll hear more about it this afternoon. I can't really give a lot of details, but I think it's important to follow up. We had a overdose death this month, and I've been talking a lot about the DEU admin folks that are going and responding on every overdose. This is a case that we were able to obtain a search warrant. This morning we served that search warrant. We effected an arrest, and I believe charges will be coming today for a person who sold narcotics to an individual and they overdosed, and they will be charged today for that crime. So hopefully this afternoon that will be released. That information will be released hopefully, and we can discuss more about it, but it's actually going on. It started this morning at about 5:30, 6 o'clock. So they're still there and they're actively doing that. And I hope to be able to report to you next month on how that case is going forward. So with that, if you have questions, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Thank you for your report, and again, thank you, all of you, from behind the scenes, everything you do to make this department run smooth. We do appreciate you, and appreciate Deputy Chief Niemeyer recognizing you as well and letting us know and keeping us informed, so thank you so much. And then we have Patrol Bureau. We have Acting Deputy Chief Ryan Mills. Welcome.
Thank you. Good morning, Commissioners, Mr. Mayor. The Patrol Bureau information is under tab B in your books. I'll begin with the Patrol Bureau updates and notable events. Next, I will cover the median response time report, and I'll conclude with the traffic summary. Starting with the Community Engagement Division, the Police Athletic League had a total of 1,628 visits during the month of May. That is a 27% increase compared to 2023. The average number of daily visits was 75, and they also had 40 new enrollments. Tomorrow, the Police Athletic League is hosting their monthly luncheon from 11 to 1 and wanted me to be sure I extended the invitation to all of you to attend. They are located at 1801 White. From our crisis intervention team, Sergeant Ashley McCuniff, who I believe is sitting in the back, received an award from the Mid-America Regional Crisis Intervention Team Council as the Crisis Intervention Team Coordinator of the Year. But not to be outdone, Officer Tarika Humphrey was recognized as Officer of the Year by the Mid-America Regional Crisis Intervention Team Council, as well as KCPD Crisis Intervention Team Officer of the Year and Mid-America Crisis Intervention Team Council Instructor of the Year. In May, Central Patrol Division implemented the Entertainment District Patrol Plan. This plan dedicates additional officers on Friday and Saturday evenings to patrol, respond to calls for service, and address traffic-related issues in the entertainment areas of the city. While traditionally this may be thought of as places like 18th and Vine, Westport, and the Power and Light District, they are citywide resources and offer additional assistance to patrol officers during these times when we see the need for increased police presence. In Shoal Creek, the Vine of Life Family Church hosted a chili and pie cook-off. Major Cobalt from Shoal Creek Patrol Division, Major Gates from the Special Operations Division, and Officer Gates from the Community Engagement Division were asked to be judges for the competition. The church is adjacent to Shoal Creek Patrol and have a close working relationship with Shoal Creek Patrol Division staff. And speaking of Major Gates, he will be retiring in the coming weeks after 32 years of service to KCPD. I would like to offer him my congratulations and appreciation for his dedication to the members of the community and our department during his tenure with KCPD. He's not here at the moment. He's actually attending a meeting at Mark, planning for future events as well. Towards the end of this month, members of our crisis negotiator, towards the end of May, I apologize, members of the crisis negotiations team traveled to Columbia, Missouri to participate in the annual Negotiators Challenge hosted by the Missouri Association of Crisis Negotiators. The team from KCPD took home first place in the competition, and I'd like to point out that standing at the podium, Sergeant Campbell is one of the supervisors of our crisis negotiation team. All right, the medium response time reports. During the month of May, Priority 1 calls for service. The response time was 8 minutes and 36 seconds, which is an 11-second decrease over the month of April. The median response time for Priority 2 calls was approximately 11 minutes and 2 seconds. This was a 15-second decrease over the month of April. The average 911 call hold time for May was 44 seconds, which is unchanged from April. As mentioned by Deputy Chief Maven last month, on May 24th, the Traffic Division conducted an operation to combat street racing. During that operation, they took the following enforcement actions. 23 vehicles were stopped, 35 citations were issued, they made 4 arrests, towed 9 vehicles, and handled 2 accidents involving street racing activities, one of which was a motorcycle that crashed into a police car. These street racing enforcement operations will continue, and we intend to further partner with other law enforcement agencies in the metro area doing the same. Members of the community who would like to report problems with or have information related to street racing may email the Traffic Division directly at streetracing@kcpd.org or report it anonymously to the TIPS hotline, 816-474-TIPS. The DUI section conducted 8 Wolfpack operations in May with a combined total of 110 traffic stops. They issued 137 tickets and made 36 DUI arrests. There was an additional 72 DUI arrests that were not associated with wolf packs in May. On page 12 of the Traffic Division summary are the fatal crash statistics for 2024. On that graph, you will see that 91% of the people killed in traffic accidents were not wearing a seatbelt as required. The board and department have both pled with the community to wear their seatbelts. In response to this trend, the Traffic Division conducted enforcement operations on May 15th and May 29th, specifically related to seatbelt violations. As a result of those operations, officers issued 474 seatbelt citations. Details of those operations are found on page 13 and 14 of the Traffic Division summary in your book. This operation, in addition to the normal activities of patrol officers, resulted in an increase in the total number of seatbelt tickets issued from 101 in April to 630 in May. If there are no questions, this would conclude my presentation.
Any questions?
I'm sorry, sir.
Go ahead.
Just to make sure I'm right, the email address you said for our constituents is streetracing@kcpd.org?
Yes, sir.
And how long has that been active, by the way?
That has been, so we've used it internally for the last 3 to 4 months, I believe. We are using it as a resource to gather information from the community as well.
Well, just a fantastic, absolutely fantastic resource for those who have concerns about the issue. But that's all I have.
One quick question. First, excellent report. Thank you for being here. Appreciate that. And if you don't have an answer to my question, that's okay. I'm not trying to catch you here, but I'm just curious. We're 6 months into the new 11-hour shift. Are we seeing any reaction or outcome from that move to the 11-hour shift?
So that was a major shift for our patrol staffing and deployment. The first couple months, there was a little bit of growing pains with that as we worked through how to do certain things, how to staff and deploy our resources the best we could throughout that time frame, and some uncertainty with the officers that worked that shift. The trend the last couple months has been one of positive feedback. We're better prepared to understand kind of how things work in practice over the ideas that we had in place. And so I think we're moving in the right direction. We're looking at making a couple small tweaks here and there to be as efficient as possible, but overall the feedback has been very positive.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Any more questions? Okay, Administration Bureau, Major Ortiz.
Good morning, Commissioners. My information is under tab C in your books. As you can see, as of May 31st, 2024, our strength, our personnel number is 1,090. We also have 27 police officer candidates and 516 professional staff members. In terms of law enforcement hiring, we have 32 candidates in the process of possible eligibility. We have one confirmed candidate for the 183rd class, which will start September 16th. In addition to that, we have 20 laterals that we're processing and 6 rehires that we're also processing in various stages of the process. As far as communications, we hire 1 new member and have 8 members in the process of possible eligibility. For our upcoming law enforcement testing dates, this Thursday, we have 1. We have 60 applicants that are signed up for the physical agility test, and this includes some numbers that laterals and rehires as well. And for the next month, we have 17 applicants for July 27th that are already signed up. Our other test dates will be August 28th and September 26th. And of course, this is all taking place at our police academy. We want to remind everyone that our department has a wide variety of career opportunities for everyone. So just log into kcpd.org careers and see where each one of them or each individual would like to apply. We have many opportunities in our department. Our wellness unit is working with our chaplains now, and the positive feedback that we're receiving from our members is amazing. So we're already getting so many good comments about it, and we're looking forward to continuing that. I also want to thank Councilman Ria, I believe he left already, for sponsoring a lunch that we had on May 31st. And he's also going to be sponsoring a breakfast at East Patrol Division on July 24th from 4 o'clock in the morning to 8:30 in the morning. So we're looking forward to that. So we're thankful for that. We engage our community through recruitment. As you can see, those are the locations that we're going to be recruiting. And anyone that's interested, please come in and let us know how we can help. Lastly, we have our interns on the back here. If you could stand, please, to acknowledge you.
Welcome. Let's give them all
Thank
a
you.
round of applause. We appreciate you.
Briefly, Madam Chair, Deputy Chief, you say these are interns?
Yes.
You get all these people in uniforms now.
I know.
I know what age or vintage you are, but please, hang out with us further. Thank-
I know at least 2 of them already show interest, right, to be police officers in the future. So we're working on the other ones. So,
All right.
yep.
Well, welcome. We'd love to have you.
I
We
also
have
want
many
to.
opportunities, so.
I also want to thank our recruitment unit for facilitating all these development opportunities for them. So they've been working hard on this. And that concludes my presentation, unless you have any questions.
Deputy Chief, is there a minimum number of candidates that you would need before you have a class? Share that with me a little bit. What,
For our academy size,
yes. For example, you've got candidates, but they're not reaching a certain number. Is there a minimum number, or do you just conduct the class despite the number of candidates you have? How do you approach that?
we're going to be having that class regardless of how many numbers. Of course, we always strive to get as many candidates as possible, but we believe we have high hopes for this next academy class in September. So, yeah, in addition to that, we have outside agencies that are going to be sending their own candidates through our academy.
Thank you.
So have we noticed with the raise increases in that, our numbers, more people applying in general?
Absolutely. We believe that that has had a significant impact on the number of applicants that we have. But I also believe that we have other contributing factors that our chief of police has placed or have put in place, the 11-hour plan. I know that we just talked about that. The comments that we hear from other agencies, from other laterals, is that they can't beat that 4-on, 4-off schedule that we have, and they love that. So I assume that that's also another contributing factor that we have. But we also added additional staff member to our recruitment in our unit, and all of that in combination with our wellness unit, working with our members, the morale seems to be high, and they love that the wellness unit is always available to talk to them about any other issues. So all of those are also part of the significant numbers that we're seeing, the higher numbers that we're seeing.
Great.
If I could just comment, after the raises, May 1st, we saw our numbers for lateral transfers definitely
20,
increase.
that's a lot.
Yeah, when Deputy Chief Ortiz said 20 laterals, like we've been talking about it because I asked him that number. I try not to do it daily, but definitely
It used
weekly.
to be about 5, so that's why I was, caught my
Yes.
attention too.
So I know that there's other law enforcement agencies locally that are also experiencing staffing issues. So like, we don't want to benefit on someone else's loss, but at the same time, you know, the raises here at KCPD has enticed other current police officers at different agencies to come on board at KCPD. And the 6 rehires is also a sign of the same. It's a response to not only, like, I know that's also a factor, is our 11-hour plan, but a lot of it is the increase in pay.
Awesome. Thank you.
So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Any more questions? No. Okay, Executive Service Bureau, Deputy Chief McCollum.
Good morning, Commissioners, Mr. Mayor. All items for the Executive Services Bureau are under tab D of your board book. Item A, budget transfers for fiscal year 2024-25. I request transferring the following appropriations within the parking garage fund and police grants fund. The parking garage fund transfer moves $300 from personal services to contractual services. The police grants fund transfer moves $5,815 from contractual services, $32,185 from commodities, and $36,091 from capital outlay, totaling $74,091 to personal services. Unless you have any questions, I recommend approval.
Is there a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion's been approved.
Item B, new police pursuit vehicles. The department was recently made aware that 6 police pursuit vehicles are available at a local Dodge dealership for immediate purchase. This unexpected availability will allow the department to continue our efforts to replace our aging fleet. I request a purchase of 2 2023 Dodge Chargers and 4 Dodge Durangos from Landmark Dodge for $237,678 using the MoCan Council of Public Procurement contract for best available pricing. Unless you have any questions, I recommend approval.
Questions? Okay. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been approved. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion's approved.
Item C, acceptance of Rosebrook Center subaward. The department recently received a subaward from the Rosebrook Center for $166,750. This award will cover detective overtime, supplies, and travel and training expenses. The award is 100% federally funded and will run from January 1st, 2024 through September 30th, 2026. This is the 18th year for this subaward. Unless you have any questions, I recommend acceptance of this subaward.
Any questions?
Move to approve.
I move approval.
Second.
Motion is approved. Oh, sorry. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Going too fast here.
Item D, bank pledge agreement form. The department holds collateral in the form of securities pledged to the Board of Police Commissioners at the Federal Reserve Bank of Boston. With the recent change to the structure of the board and department personnel, the pledge agreement form needs to be updated. Unless you have any questions, I do recommend approval.
Motion to approve?
And I would request that this motion also include the approval of all the resolutions contained in these various forms as well.
I move approval.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion's approved.
Item E, board resolution and signature cards. The department holds banking accounts with United Missouri Bank and credit cards with the Greater Kansas City Public Safety Credit Union. With the recent change to the structure of the board and department personnel, several forms need to be updated. Unless you have any questions, I recommend approval.
And same request on this as well, to include all the resolutions.
Motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion is approved.
Item F, investigative analyst project. The department recently received notification from the Police Foundation of Kansas City of a $1 million award. The award provides funding for personnel, fringe benefits, equipment, and training for 4 investigative analysts assigned to the violent crimes for the city to establish an ordinance to appropriate the funds so that we may begin hiring the analysts. I have discussed this with city leadership and do not anticipate having a problem with finding someone to carry it. Unless you have any questions, I do request your approval to accept this award.
Any questions?
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The motion's approved.
That completes my report.
Thank you.
If I could comment on that just really briefly, this is yet another example of how the Police Foundation is assisting us with some of our efforts. This will put crime analysts in each one of the homicide squads to assist us in solving cases. And as Deputy Chief Niemeyer discussed earlier, they are definitely instrumental in cases these days, especially with a lot of the digital evidence that we have to comb through. So just wanted to make that known.
So Chief, that would be the 4 of 4. You mentioned earlier there were 3 of 4. Deputy Chief Niemeyer.
Correct.
Does this get us to the 4th
We
one?
currently have 3, those will be under this. We've already moved 3 into those positions. We'll hire another one, and then what we'll do is go back and backfill. When I was talking about the assault squad and other locations, we'll backfill these positions that have already been filled by this. So, yes.
Yes, thank you. And I know we were short-staffed there, so glad that they were able to help with that. Okay, Deputy Chief Young.
Morning.
Morning.
I have 2 items for your approval this morning. The first one, quite literally, only requires a signature update, and the second one only slightly more than that. They're both up for a 5-year review, and that's why they're here. If there are no questions, I ask for your approval.
Move to approve both policy modifications.
Second?
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion's approved.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, General Counsel.
My report today will be in closed session.
Public comments.
We have 2. Cheryl Ferguson?
And I just wanted to make note, Merrill is on vacation this week, so that's why we're not hearing from him.
Yeah, I actually talked to Merrill, so I do that. Thank you, though. First, I'd like to welcome you new board members that probably aren't used to seeing my face. In that, I'm just kind of concerned that both of you came from the same foundation. And I would just like to see more diversity in our board. I'd like to see the fact that we've never had a Hispanic person on the board. That should be something that really should be pushed back to the governor, because the entire country is talking about diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I would just like to see it as part of Kansas City's Board of Police Commissioners. But I do commend you, especially because I know how high you've achieved yourself in AT&T, so I commend you for that. That's actually not why I'm here. I've had questions in regards to the patrol division and the no seatbelt tickets that were given. You did mention that there was 2 locations. I'd like to know what those 2 locations were. Additionally, I'd like to know how much tickets were given at each stop, at each location, rather. Is that possible that I can find that out?
Do we have that
Cheryl, I think
information?
you understand. You just do affirmative discussion, and we can
Gotcha.
follow up with you later.
Okay, so if in follow-up today, if I could get that information, I would appreciate it. Because I would also like to make sure that that was diverse and not focused on one area that I'm aware of, that I know you were at. Because we do need to make sure that we are being thoughtful and cognitive of if we are patrolling divisions and looking at giving out tickets in areas that are already financially struggling. That's just something that I think that you should always consider when you're looking at giving something that will have a financial impact to that area. That's all I have for today.
Thank you.
And the next is Ron Hunt.
Good afternoon to the mayor, to the chief, my wonderful chief, to all the commanding officers. Sorry I'm a little bit late. I didn't get a chance to look at the crime statistics, but I know that our kids are continuing to die. And that's no fault of your own. First of all, I really want to praise Major Corey for the event that I held June the 8th. The police, she did a great job. She did a great job. And I'm always appreciative of the work that you guys do, especially your homicide division, solving these crimes. That's critical, you know. But our kids will continue to die. And we need to get more information on, you know, resources for our families with these single parents. I mean, it's just a lot going on. But I really want to praise you guys. I really do. And you normally don't get that, you know, and I try to let you know I appreciate you, and the community appreciates you. The community engagement team is doing a lot of good things in our community. A lot of people don't give you credit for that, but I'm giving you credit for that. But we continue to have a problem in our community, and it's no fault of the police department. I'm gonna continue to try to get out there on the streets, to pass out the TIPS hotline. They updated their information, but people are concerned, and I want you guys to know, from the top to the bottom, I really appreciate you. Okay, and we're gonna solve this problem in our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. Okay. Approval of open session minutes. Is there a motion to
Madam
approve?
President, I move approval of the May 28th open session minutes.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Is it roll call? Aye. David? Okay. Motion's approved. I would just like to welcome Ed Elders, our new commissioner. He couldn't be with us today. He had a prior commitment out of state, since he wasn't really sure when he was going to be confirmed, but he will be with us on our next meeting. He was going to try and join us maybe by phone in between meetings today, but I just want to recognize him, and we're happy to have him on board, and we will see him next meeting. So I just wanted to thank him for being part of this in the future. And David, did you have any comments?
No, we just need a motion to go and close.
Okay. Mayor Lucas?
Thank you, President Kramer, and I share your welcome of our new commissioner. It is exciting to have a fully stocked board, all active members, and look forward to the people of Kansas City having the opportunity to build those relationships. As I believe the presentation gets ready, I'll actually wade into controversy, not with y'all for once. It is the Chiefs and the Royals. You've heard a lot of discussion in recent weeks about the Chiefs and the Royals, and I'm interested in the import that they have with this department. As you know, many of our officers have worked at those events for years, have very close relationships with the organizations, the Truman Sports Complex and beyond. Despite what commentators may say, the city of Kansas City and our partners in the state of Missouri will continue to work hard to make sure that both teams and their facilities remain in Kansas City, Missouri. While I'm someone who has the opportunity from time to time to take in a game in other communities and cities, KCK and others, and God bless them in their departments, they're exceptional, I continue to believe we have the very best. And I think the very best teams in the country deserve the very best police work and community support. And so we'll continue to do that work. We hope to have more discussion as we go through the summer months about Kansas City and the state of Missouri's efforts to make sure the teams remain in Kansas City. The U.S. Conference of Mayors. It was noted before, and sorry, Chief, I know you don't want to be in the center of all pictures, but actually this picture is an interesting one. The woman in pink who I did not get smiling is the mayor of the city of Lincoln, Nebraska. The gentleman to the left of the chief is deputy director or assistant director of the ATF, both of whom raved both about this department and our department's leadership. First, as it relates actually to the ATF, the Department of Justice, the ATF director was at the United States Conference of Mayors and others. They report consistently their positive work with this department, how responsive we are. We got a particular shout out from the Department of Justice relating to risk terrain modeling and the types of programmatic efforts that we have been doing for years. In so many words, this department is a leader. It is a leader among law enforcement agencies in the country and certainly with our federal partners. Federal partners, by the way, regardless of presidential administration, regardless of leadership even at the Kansas City Police Department, and certainly regardless of mayors. I want to commend you all for that and that recognition. It is something that I was incredibly proud of and excited to see. As for the mayors themselves, this followed a panel where the chief described the work of the women and men of this department in connection with not just risk to rain modeling, our community engagement, our quick response to violent criminal incidents, and our collaboration with departments across the country. I thank you for that and that recognition. It is not every day that all of these mayors who like to brag about everything going on in their department brag about our own. And so I thank you for that and creating that opportunity. I'll go to the next slide. The rest is just kind of a picture show. More with that. That's my bald head blocking the picture. We'll go to the next one. People see that enough. And then we'll actually go to the next one. This is us actually having fun. And I share this picture for a reason. At every step of the way, in connection with this conference, KCPD was there and was present. First, I want to commend Captain Abigail Martinez, Deputy Chief Joe Mabin, and others throughout this department who, when we received word of this conference, which, by the way, was the same week we received word that we were getting the the FIFA World Cup, just nobody cared nearly as much. KCPD was responsive. And in case you're wondering, a group of hundreds of politicians coming to town are among the neediest set of people you can find. Whether it was the 14 other mayors that brought police protective details from Chicago, Philadelphia, San Diego, and beyond, whether it was certainly the conference and its own demands, and whether it was the reality that we had throughout the weekend, those who sought to exercise their First Amendment rights were able to do so, but also were able to do so while we kept the many people there and dignitaries safe. This was second to none. And that reception was shared by people throughout, not just the elected mayors, but people who had been with the Conference of Mayors for over 40 years. This is a free moment that we had for just a second, and it was interesting because our officer photograph was trying to get out of all pictures. They snuck this one because I didn't just want to be a weirdo, kind of, as Deputy Chief Niemeyer knows, most people aren't in this for recognition. So if you're taking pictures, sometimes they'll try to run out of it. But I wanted to make sure that we recognized a lot of the folks when it was a cool 98 degrees or so who were standing out there with us, making sure everyone was safe. This was an incident, or pardon me, an event that went on without incident, something that we don't talk about a lot, but everybody got to and from the airport safely. Everybody walked around town safely. I will say this for everybody who was patrolling this weekend. Some of those mayors scared me because they said, I'm just looking for a random cigar shop. They just started walking around town. And I said, I'd really rather you stay close to the hotel, but you know, everything worked out fine. And I'm very proud of this department and their work with it. It took a lot of collaboration, and to me, I think it shows very well for our plans coming up, not just with the events we get regularly, and we have them. You could say the same thing about the Pride event that happened in Kansas City a few weeks ago. You can say that about Pride on the Vine that happened a few weeks ago, any others, but also as we get ready for the 2026 World Cup. Kansas City can pull off exceptional events. I think our department's very ready to do it, and I think all got to see this weekend just how good they could be at it. So that's my speech and my diatribe, and thank you, Madam Chair, for the time.
And I would like to also welcome you and congratulate
Absolutely.
you for being a new father
Thank you.
on top of all of this that you were able to.
I'd like you to know when I had my last child, I'm going to get in trouble by saying too much, and Sergeant Lemon can see where I can get in trouble. Believe it or not, I actually like getting police toys rather than fire toys, and that's the only thing I'll say because, I'll say it in public. Y'all are a little easier to deal with than you might think. So now I'm going to get 800 calls from some other people, but so we've got Chase from Paw Patrol and all that sort of stuff for this new set. But thank you, Madam Chair, for that.
Yes, we're excited for you, so. Okay. Commissioner Romius, any comments?
No comments. It's tough to follow that. So as I mentioned earlier, I too was at the U.S. Conference of Mayors, and it was a wonderful moment for our city, our mayor, and our leadership, and of course this department. So great meeting today. Every meeting I seem to learn so much more. I appreciate you all's reports and also the reports, from the comments from the public, and the highlights of the team members. So thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Whitaker.
Just a couple of items. One, congratulations again on the birth of your second son. That's exciting news. And I'm sorry that Commissioner Elder isn't here today, but I look forward to working with him on this board and I'm excited about his presence. And then just another thanks. Last month, Deputy Chief Niemeyer, you gave us an update on the Property Crimes Division. Today, you did a little bit deeper dive on the Generalist Squad and the Crime Analyst, and I really appreciate just taking those moments to dig a little deeper in the operations of the department so we have an appreciation and a better perspective. So thank you for that. That's all I have. Thank you, Madam President.
Well, thank you. And again, everything's been said, but we cannot thank you guys enough for what you do to keep our city safe and to keep these organizations safe that come into our city and to get that feeling out to everybody. So thank you. Appreciate you. I guess with that, I'll make a motion. Is there a motion to go into closed?
To go into closed session.
Second.
All in favor?
Roll call.
Roll call.
Roll call. Lucas, aye.
Whitaker, aye.
Romeus, aye.
Kramer, aye. Thank you.